How's it going, everyone? So we gotta talk a little Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I think when everybody got the game, I shouldn't say everybody, I think there are some people that jumped into just playing battles with their friends, but I think a lot of people jumped into Sparking Zero right off the top. You gotta hit that single player mode, do a couple battles in there, go through Goku's campaign, and honestly speaking, you guys, I will be real, going into this game, I had expected, okay, like, great, we got a single player component, we're just finna dust this thing in 5 seconds and then move on. Not to say that's a bad thing, like, this game's longevity is obviously gonna be driven from the multiplayer and playing with friends and everything like that, but I figured the single player campaign would be a little bit of fun and then we would move on. Boy, oh boy, does this single player have more to it than I realized. So you have 8 campaigns. People are going to start with Goku's campaign, and that's naturally going to be the longest of all of the campaigns available. On top of these what-if scenarios that are going down as well, which adds another layer to the story, boy, oh boy, are people getting absolutely mollywopped and obliterated by one particular fight right off the rip. Now, initially, fighting Raditz and then into Vegeta is not too difficult. And then you get into Vegeta's Great Ape form, and GG no re, boys. This fight seems to be pushing a lot of people to the edge. If you actually look through social media, people are bugging out about this Great Ape fight. And you know what? From the standpoint where myself and I think a lot of other people were expecting to absolutely dust this campaign, this is a good thing. I think this level of challenge is great. I mean, ultimately, who cares if it's challenging? And it should be noted that if you're playing against the Great Ape and you fail a few times, they give you the option to lower the difficulty. So it's like, if you want to go through it, you can lower the difficulty. I don't think people actually want to lower the difficulty, and I think you should try to beat the Great Ape legit. And what I've heard is some of the other fights deeper into the game are just as difficult. And maybe the complaints are so bad that this battle is a little bit too difficult, that Bandai Namco is probably going to take action, and some of the AI elements are a little bit ridiculous, and the difficulty spikes. That's the issue. I think spiking the difficulty this hard is a little bit wild, but at the same time, I do think, you know, it being challenging is a good thing, but there's a balancing act to all of this, and pretty much everybody I've spoken to, they are reiterating the same thing over and over again when it comes to this Great Ape fight, where people are absolutely losing their minds over it. I'm curious to see, as far as the rest of the campaign, how difficult it is, and I'm sure if you're a hardcore player, you're gonna be able to get through it. I have some of the gameplay of the Great Ape fight here, and ultimately, I think if you're decent at the game, you are going to be able to beat it, but I think it's a case of a lot of people were just expecting to absolutely obliterate the game at the same time, and then they actually play the game, and yeah, they run into a brick wall right out the gate. The issue is the initial battles are fairly straightforward, that once you get to the Great Ape fight, that yeah, people are losing their minds, and the game is way too hard. There's a Reddit post on the Sparking Zero page that's one of the top voted posts. Okay, this game is way too hard. Look, I wasn't expecting to come in and face roll the entire story, but I kind of was, to be honest. I kind of was, as somebody that's played Tenkaichi, and I think a lot of people were. They were just like, all right, I'm gonna go to the single player mode and absolutely obliterate it, but holy s, this is borderline impossible. Most of these story episodes play like this: opponent perceptions or Z vanishes 4,000 times in a row because an input reads. I get knocked back in one hit from the AI, who then uses a super and then hits me because I'm recovering. AI deals 18 quintillion damage with a standard punch. I tried to perception and they just follow up with their own perception. I try to Z vanish, but because the timing needs to be effing frame perfect, it doesn't work. I knock back the AI after my 5th attempt from a combo, since they usually Z vanish. One punch from me chips off so little health, I may as well be standing there with a straw shooting spitball. So honestly, it does feel like a lot of people are enraged with the difficulty. I don't know. In this case, I'm not... Look, and you're talking to somebody that absolutely hates brutally difficult games. Like, they are not my cup of tea. I do not get into the Souls-like games or anything like that. but maybe it's an element of the challenge was so surprising to me that it didn't bother me as much as a lot of other people. But let me know what you guys think. I am curious to hear your guys' opinion and where the Great Ape fight in particular stacks up, since I know most people aren't getting deeper into the campaign, and I'm really curious how it's gonna build up in terms of the battles going forward. Because if this fight is really hard and then the other fights, the subsequent fights, aren't as difficult, that obviously is gonna be very questionable, because the Great Ape fight is obviously very on in the Z story. Like, what are we doing here? If that's an issue and that's where people are having problems with it, and then the rest of Goku's campaign isn't too difficult. But yeah, the Great Ape seems to be pushing people to the absolute edge, and I don't recall in previous Tenkaichi games, I'm sure that you had to fight the Great Ape in the campaign, but I don't recall it being something brutally difficult. But I played the Tenkaichi games when I was super, super young, so my recollection of, as far as difficulty scales, and even back then, if something was super difficult, like, we were gonna no-life a game till we actually beat a boss or something like that, or beat a battle in the single-player mode. But back then, like, even with all of these anime games and these, the Dragon Ball games that had the Great Ape fight, if it was too difficult, we'd just be no-lifing it until the end of the earth. I think at this point, some of us are a little bit older, that getting obliterated by the same boss over and over again and it coming across a little bit unfair, to say the least. Alright, that might set us off a little bit, but I am really curious to hear your guys' overall thoughts on the game. I've been pretty vocal. Look, I have issues with some of the stuttering on PC, and there's some other things that I'm going to talk about in future videos. I think some of the DLC they're putting out already, I mean, the Ultimate Edition was $110, and we already got more DLC content that wasn't clarified ahead of the game's release, but the other anime published titles from Bandai Namco have done the same thing. So, you know, I still gotta complain about it because it's a reality. I wish they had cross-platform play, but the game, from its essence and what it offers, if you are a lifelong Tenkaichi player and you played it as a kid, I mean, this is an absolute love letter to you. You gotta be having a great time with it. Difficulty aside, and that's something Bandai Namco might end up patching, they do offer to make it easier, so I don't think it's that big of a deal, but let me know what you guys think as far as the difficulty of the Great Ape fight in particular. I know some of you guys are already deeper on, but let me know how the fights stack up as far as deeper into the campaign as well. And for those of you that are still on the fence about actually buying the game, and I will say that in my humble opinion that the game is absolutely awesome, and it's what Dragon Ball fans have been waiting for a long time. We've wanted a new Tenkaichi for a long time. You know, minor issues aside, like I said, the stuttering and PlayStation 5's overheating, which may be an issue with your fans, and you might need to open up your PS5 and clean it out. I'm just letting you guys know. A lot of people clarifying that, so keep that in mind. But the game is absolutely awesome, and I do want to give a shout to our good friends before we cap off this video over at greenmangaming.com. They have got the game a little bit cheaper, 8% off, and you won't pay tax either. This is for a PC copy of the game, the deluxe edition, with the season pass and the early access, which is playable right now. And if you do want to pick up the standard edition, if you're looking to delve into it over the weekend, that is 8% off as well for $64.39. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.